Five Nights at Freddy's has many iconic things within the series, from the animatronics to the insanely deep lore and everything in between. One aspect of these games that often goes underappreciated is the sound design. The music and sound effects within FNAF are some of its strongest parts, but not that many people seem to actually talk about it, so today I will. This video is a journey through the original trilogy of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, covering all of the iconic sounds and music, and what makes these tracks work so well. Without any more delay, let's begin with the truly iconic. Every game will start on the title screen. Five Nights at Freddy's, the original, is simple yet effective. It uses a stock track called Urban Darkness 8 as the music for the menu screen. It's more of a soundscape than coherent music, and it's the perfect choice for this game. It's full of low droning sounds, along with some more digital sounding effects. These two things are all it really needs to accompany the simple menu. It sets the tone for the game, and is such a memorable track for being a stock track. The glitchy sounds work well with the twitchy Freddy, and the low drones enhance the eeriness of the game before it even begins. This track was remade by Leon Riskin for the mobile and console ports of the game. The remake is fine, but I feel it takes away some of what makes the original work as good as it does. It's not bad, but it just creates a different feeling that isn't as strong as the original. Getting into the actual game, we have a few ambient tracks, all of which are stock. Cold Presence B is a low droning ambient track that plays through most of the night. It's subtle, but helps to create that little bit of extra creepiness that really boosts the unease of the game. Some parts of this track have sounds which are almost like breathing, which again helps with the uneasy feeling that FNAF 1 is trying to create. Despite the simplicity, it works very well. There is another track that plays at different times, being Giant Hollow Tube Sector. This is likely the track you think of when referencing the ambience in FNAF 1. And it's no wonder why. This is the one that features higher pitch sounds. I'd describe them almost as screeches. The track echoes, almost as if it's actually playing through the speakers of the building. It's highly effective at being creepy. These higher pitched sounds at times can sound like a broken animatronic, dragging a broken part along the halls of some massive abandoned warehouse. This track actually has some amount of gameplay purpose to it, getting louder the more danger you're in. Whenever Chica or Bonnie are in the hall, it will play quietly, getting louder if both are there. It can get even louder if Foxy is in his second stage or more. It gets the loudest when Freddy is actually in your office. It's surprisingly deep for something that seems so simple. The final ambient track plays once you run out of power. It's called Surreal Ominous Ambience, and it's exactly that. It's very simple again, but works very well for the situation. Most of the track is just slow, subtle droning sounds, but there's also a very understated hint of what almost sounds like slow breathing again. All of the ambient tracks in this game were so perfectly picked for the situation and greatly help to enhance how ominous and uneasy the game makes you feel. FNAF 1 also features an array of different sound effects. The first set of these are sounds that are meant to distract the player and create more fear. Circus Pipe Organ is one such sound. It's in the name. It's a frantic sounding track that will randomly play a short tune. Organs just on their own are fairly creepy, but hearing it echo through the halls of an abandoned pizzeria works wonders. It's impossible to calculate where the sound is actually coming from, which makes it uncertain if you're really in danger or not. It causes panic every time it plays. Pirate Song 2 is similar in this way, as it's just a random sound that will play from time to time to scare the player. The difference here is that, well, it can be linked to a character, specifically Foxy. Even though it doesn't mean anything relating to gameplay, it feels like it does. Hearing one of the animatronics echoing a hum through the halls is terrifying. This sound is so iconic that they even reference it in the first FNAF movie, with a recreation from Kellen Goff. One other sound effect that serves the same purpose is the fan. It's just there to be that slightest bit distracting, making it just a little bit harder to focus, which in turn leads to slightly more panic. The last set of sounds are all more gameplay related. Not all of them are useful or provide information, but they all happen because of different actions the player can do, or because of the animatronics doing something to the player. First are the camera sounds. Blip 3, camera video, and computer digital are all sounds that help to make the cameras more immersive. They're not scary in any way, but add to the game in terms of realism. The other sound that can occur within the cams is a series of garbled or glitched audio. This happens whenever an animatronic is moving from or to the camera that is currently selected. It's very sudden and can easily scare someone. The sound is accompanied by the game taking away one of your only tools. Even if it's just temporary, it helps to add to the already immense panic of the game. Another instance where this happens is with the doors. The sounds of them in general are very industrial and heavy. There's quite a few sounds associated with them. The light hum is first, and this sound serves as more distraction than anything else. It's just loud enough to draw attention away from other, more useful sounds. It's a distraction, like most of the other sounds we covered so far. Sometimes though, the hum will be overtaken by... It's sudden and loud, essentially a mini jump scare. It's another effect that really only exists to instill panic in the player. It plays when an animatronic is at the door, which is already sufficiently portrayed by, seeing them. You then would slam the door closed, which plays a heavy metal slamming sound. It makes sense with the metal doors and helps with making the whole thing feel that little bit more real. These sounds become ingrained in your head as you play, almost becoming comforting in certain ways. That is, until seemingly out of nowhere. This sound is iconic for many reasons. The game will suddenly, without warning, switch up on the player. The only line of defense is no longer working, which will send the player into a panic. Most people will likely spam both the door and the light, but to no avail. It won't work no matter how many times it's clicked. This moment is basically canon to FNAF 1, as almost every playthrough you've seen has likely encountered it. The sound is incredibly simple, but that's all it needs to create this truly terrifying moment. It's perfectly done. The last door sound is when Foxy bangs on it. It's a sound that actually gives the player information, but it's also a little scary to hear, even if you're not in danger when it's happening. This game also has a few different footstep sounds within. Each animatronic feels like they have their own personalities just contained within these effects. First is when Bonnie or Chica are approaching the office. Their steps are slow, calculated. It's as if they know what they're doing, and they're toying with the player. Foxy's running sound is iconic and a complete opposite. It's very quick, again inducing panic. The last one is Freddy. His steps are frantic, as if he's moving quickly and trying his best to not be seen on the cameras. Next up is breathing. These creepy sounds play whenever one of the animatronics has already entered your office, or in later nights when Bonnie or Chica are in the hall corners. They can be useful in that instance, but the main reason for their inclusion is horror. They're sounds of somebody barely clinging on to life, now being emitted from the animatronics. It's there to remind you how dark this situation really is. These are kids whose lives were wasted by a very evil man. Now they cling to life in these suits, roaming the nights in search of revenge. This sound is perfect for that. Freddy and Golden Freddy have additional sounds that give them more personality. Golden Freddy has a child's laugh accompanying him, again playing back to the missing kids. Freddy has a slowed down laugh whenever he moves positions. This sound is useful for gameplay, but it's also quite eerie to hear Freddy's laugh echo through the halls of the building. Chica will also sometimes make some noises in the kitchen while she rummages through the equipment. It's not super scary, more so useful for knowing where she is. There's one more part of the game that I haven't talked about yet, that being when the power cuts out, most sounds stop. A low ambience track I mentioned earlier plays, and you're forced to just wait. You can hear some footsteps. Then, iconic and terrifying. You're forced to watch, helpless as Freddy messes with you. It's spine chilling. The power then fully cuts out, leaving you in complete silence. This whole game works incredibly well, and it uses so little to do so much. It's truly iconic. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 takes a very different approach when it comes to the sound design. You can hear that even from the title screen, with the music titled The Sand Temple. Instead of feeling scary or ominous, it more so feels mysterious. I'm not saying that's bad necessarily, as it does work well with the actual visuals of the menu. The toys are not really scary at all, but the glimpses of the wizards are indeed intriguing, which is perfect for the soundtrack. Just like the first game, this track got a remix from Leon Riskin for the Click Team ports of the game. It keeps the mysterious vibes of the original, but it does just sound the slightest bit creepier. If it sounds familiar to you, you've either played one of these ports, or more likely have played Curse of Dreadbear. They use the same menu music, which I thought was a cool detail. This game is the first to feature cutscenes, and with them comes a highly eerie and off-putting ambience. Metal Stabs is its name, and it's very fitting. The sharp, high-pitched stabs sound creepily close to children's laughter. It seems like it's echoing through a massive room, and it's definitely unsettling. The next track is the main ambient song for FNAF 2, titled In the Depths. It's a simple track, somewhat similar to a track in the first game. It's got low drones, occasionally broken up by higher-pitched sounds. Again, more of a soundscape than a song. To me, it sounds like wind whistling through a large cave. It's a very slow and eerie track. Something that's not slow or eerie are the siren sounds. These play whenever an animatronic is in close proximity to the office, or inside of it. I mean, it's an infamous sound at this point. It plays so often, especially on later nights. As a result, the sound is more annoying and distracting than it is scary. It's also not even remotely useful for information because it is always on. It does create a bit of panic in the night simply because it's harder to hear the other, more useful audio cues. Another track that almost becomes permanent throughout the night is the music box. This song works perfectly for the puppet. Music boxes are inherently creepy, which I think is due to movies and games associating them with hauntings and ghosts. This track being linked to the puppet makes so much sense. She's a very important character in the series, and giving her a distinct and recognizable song is important. This one is also unique, as it sometimes can be more calming than scary or creepy. Compared to all the other noises and sounds in the night, hearing this is not all that bad. The thing that ties all of the tracks together though, is of course, the fan. In this game, it's a different, lower sound. It's less noticeable, but it's still a constant background hum. All these sounds combined create the overall hectic ambience of FNAF 2. As for sound effects in this game, there's quite a bit. This game and its effects are very different from the first game, as a majority of them are actually helpful to the player. There's not many distractions here. The walking sounds are first, and while not super useful, they're so subtle within the chaos that they're not distracting either. The main one here that most people do listen for is the one where an animatronic enters the vents. You can't tell what side they're on, but it is useful for being ready with the mask. Speaking of the mask, it's got a couple of sounds too. The one for taking it off or putting it on is kind of just there, but the breathing is far more present and noticeable. This sound is there to make you feel more immersed in the world. If you ever worn a mask, you know that you can kind of hear your breathing, and it's harder to breathe as well. It's slightly panic-inducing, as your character sounds like he's panicking a bit by breathing so heavy. The cameras, just like the first game, have many sounds to make them feel more real. This game goes a little more in depth with it too, having slightly different flip up and flip down sounds, along with a background hum whenever the cameras are active. This is one of the places where FNAF 2 really shines with the audio. I really enjoy the camera sounds. It's just a big shame that you never really get to use the cams to their full potential. A similar sound that just adds to the world is the buzz when you use the flashlight here. It's such a subtle sound, but something would definitely not feel right without it. Speaking of the light, sometimes the game will take away your ability to use it. This error sound serves the same purpose as the FNAF 1 sound did, to send you into panic. It works well here, but just not quite as much. I think again that's simply due to how hectic this game can be at times. You don't get much quiet, and it's hard to really process that you're in any real danger until you're already dead. The other sounds heard throughout the night include the laughs from Balloon Boy. He'll make one whenever he moves, and it is pretty creepy to hear a kid's voice saying hello echo through the long halls of the building. It almost makes it sound like one of the kid's spirits is trying to talk to you, which is effective at being a bit eerie, even if Balloon Boy himself is anything but. Mangle will also emit a sound throughout the night, being a loud, static, glitchy, like radio sound. It is useful for knowing where Mangle is without even having to check, but it's also another big distraction to add on to all the other ones within this game. That's all the sounds in FNAF 2. Right, there's that sound too, which does a very good job at instilling panic in the player. Those moments of sitting there, not knowing when your game will end, are indeed scary, but that scare kind of goes away when you still have to deal with the other animatronics. It's trying to be like running out of power in the first game, but fails to execute it quite as well because of the chaotic nature of this game. FNAF 2 also has death minigames, and they feature some of the actual creepiest audio in this game. The distorted letters and very digital sounds are quite a stark contrast from the rest of the sounds here. FNAF 2's sound design is kind of a turning point for the series. While FNAF 1 featured a ton of sounds that were just kind of there to scare and distract you, this game tones down on that in favor of more gameplay focused sounds. Now all of these end up actually being useful during gameplay, but that was clearly the intention. The design is not bad by any means, but I just don't think it can compare to the genius of the first game, in my opinion. With that, we can move on to the final game of this video. FNAF 3 is a special game in the series, and is once again a very unique one. The menu track is a song called They're Standing. Not only is the name itself very fitting for Springtrap, the track also works incredibly well to portray the real danger here. It's somewhat industrial and very dark sounding. It's essentially boss music for Springtrap. Again, highly fitting. This track also has some very digital elements, mainly glitchy sounds, working great with the actual menu and Springtrap, well, glitching on it. As with all these older games, this track was remade by Leon Riskin for the Click Team ports. Unlike the previous two remakes, I actually think this one might be better than the original. Okay, maybe not better, but it's probably on par with it. It fits the vibe of the original and doesn't really lose anything, being still like boss music for Springtrap. It's simple, but it works very well. During gameplay, the one and only ambient track is titled Desolate Underworld. Crazy name for a track, but also very fitting for this game. It's dark and very simple. The goal is to make you feel uneasy in the horror attraction, and it achieves that goal very well. To go along with this ambience, we of course have the fan. It's even more understated than in FNAF 2, and blends nicely with the other stuff going on. It's a welcome yet very subtle addition to really enhance the atmosphere of the place. FNAF 3 has a ton of sounds like that. They're very subtle, but necessary for selling the experience. This includes the panel sounds when you access cams or the maintenance panel. They make it feel real, like you're really there doing those things. It's a series of satisfyingly simple clicks and beeps, along with, of course, camera static too. Again, nothing crazy here, but needed to enhance the immersion. Another subtle audio cue in this game is the danger sound. If you remember, FNAF 2 had a very loud and obnoxious one, so I'm glad it was changed here. The quiet yet high-pitched screeching sound lets you know that some kind of danger is nearby, whether it's Springtrap or one of the Phantoms. It often blends with the other ambience in the game and can add just that little bit of extra eeriness or unease to the already creepy experience. Another very subtle sound that gives you information is the movement sound for Springtrap. It's very quiet, and most of the time will likely blend into the background if you're not listening very closely. It's like footsteps combined with a strange groan. I assume that's meant to be Springtrap breathing. It's odd and unsettling. Other, more prominent sounds are there to cause the player to panic. They all mostly occur during the same scenario. First, a phantom will jump scare you. The loud scream, a sudden contrast to the relative quiet of the office. If it's Mangle or the puppet, they have their own unique screeches. It's the first step to inducing fear and panic. Next, the player will start heavily breathing, along with a blaring and loud alarm sound. This whole sequence and all of the audio is meant to throw you off guard and distract you from the real threat of the night. It's very well done and works highly effectively at being a panicking and disorienting ruse from the main attraction. The sound design here is again fairly simple, but it's also some of my favorite from honestly the whole series. Other noises you may hear in the office are BB's laugh, which are less creepy here than FNAF 2. Vent crawling and clanging sounds can also be heard. These are both useful to the player, while also causing a little bit of fear searching the monitors to find where Springtrap is before he can get to you. This game is not the first to feature 8-bit minigames, but it is the first to put a large emphasis on them. As such, there are many more sound effects in these games to enhance them and make them more uneasy. The real content though when it comes to audio is the music choices. The end of night games feature an ambience of rain and static. It's simple and highly effective. It sets the tone for that abandoned Freddy's location. It's dark, eerie, and slow. The more hidden minigames take a different approach. These all use very old tracks, ones which you would likely find playing from a music box. This older music always tends to be creepy and unsettling, and it does that well here too. The bad ending of the game also uses a track like this. I love this choice because it indicates that there's something more to be done. It's not emotional or sad, it is just there. It's telling you that you didn't do everything. The true ending of this game features a track called Don't Go. This is an emotional piece in a very fitting way to end the original trilogy of games. It portrays the sadness of what really happened all those years ago, but it's also peaceful in a way. It's the moment where you're putting the souls to rest, where they can move on from the hell that they were trapped in for so many years. It's a heartbreaking track, and I don't think a better one could have been chosen for this moment. It really feels like the end, like nothing more could come after it. That feels like a fitting way to end the video. I wanted to do all the games, but considering the size of this video already, I opted for just the first 3 currently. I can definitely do more of these vids in the future on the other games, if this one gets enough support. There's plenty to talk about still. This video was inspired by a creator named Sruffy, who made 2 videos on the topic of audio in Five Nights at Freddy's. They are very well done videos, so go check them out, links in the description. That's all from me today. Let me know which game has your favorite soundtrack or sound design in the comments. Remember to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for plenty more deep dives into various FNAF topics. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, superstars.